Welcome back. Joining us on the show now is Arun Raste, he's MD and CEO at NCDEX. Mr. Raste, hi, thank you so much for joining in, and congratulations are in order because 770 crores is what you've raised as a preferential share issue, and you also are going on for the equity and derivative market there. What we do also understand is that it is the cash segment that you would be starting first on. Why do not you update our viewers with all of that?
Thank you, Manisha. Good noon. So, as you mentioned, we did raise about 770 odd crores from both domestic and international investors. We did a fresh round of equity, about 40 odd %. We will primarily use it for the equity and equity derivative segment. We did get SEBI approval a few months ago for starting our equity and equity derivative segment. So, in terms of the process, what we will do is we will start the equities first, and then we'll go for equities. But before that, there is one more addition, which probably you haven't heard about. We also intend to start a mutual fund platform, which will probably the first to go online, because that is not linked to the trading and settlement system. So we can have a separate platform, and through which we can do the mutual fund distribution. So that will be our first offering. And that should be early in the next financial year, very early, possibly the beginning of the financial year itself, that will start it. And then later, as our systems and things in place, we will go for equity. And then after that, we'll go for equity derivatives. So in terms of if you're looking at calendar, probably next calendar year and latest by next financial year, all the three should be up and running.
Mr. Raste, the other thing that we also have been hearing about is you acquiring a 20% stake in the Sri Lanka commodity and financial derivative markets. What is that about?
No, so this is all subject to regulations, both in Sri Lanka and India. What we have agreed with the Colombo Stock Exchanges, if they get approval to set up equivalent of a NCDEX in Sri Lanka, we will be picking up stake in that. But that will be subject to regulatory authorities in Sri Lanka, SEBI approvals in India, as also DA or MEA as approvals required. Subject to approvals, we will be taking that. So what we have agreed with Colombo Stock Exchanges, they don't have derivatives at the moment in Sri Lanka, either financial nor commodity. So this new exchange, which might come up, will be dealing with both commodities as well as financial derivatives. And what we have agreed is we will be operating that for some time. We will be providing expertise, we will be providing them manpower in the initial stage, train their people, and also become stage. So put together for our efforts and whatever we are putting money, we are putting in, we'll get about 20 odd % in this new exchange. And that will be possibly subject to regulatory approvals. It should start sometime next year or a year after that.
Mr. Raste, just taking a step back, and as you mentioned that the first thing that will go live is your launch of mutual fund distribution platform. We do also understand is that it will function independently when it comes to the exchange's main trading and settlement system. So would you say the time that you're talking about, the timeline that you're talking about, is the timeline that you would require to set up operations and technology, etc.?
Exactly. So if you're setting up an exchange or if you're setting up a platform, there are three requirements. One is the technology part of it, one is the human beings, the people who will run it, and third is the market participants. So we are working on all the three fronts. We intend to hire something like say 100 to 150 people over the next 12 months to take care of all the three functions. As I speak, my team is at the moment speaking to somebody who is a technology provider for the mutual fund platform technology. And as far as the systems for the equity part is concerned, we have already floated the RFP, and hopefully we should close it by end of next month.
Mr. Raste, what are the plans looking like when it comes to equity and derivatives therein? Because you have BSE and NSE standing up as tall competition for you.
See, competition is the game, but I will just put some numbers in front of you. So I'll start with mutual funds. If you're looking at mutual funds, if you're looking at say 15 years ago, what was the number of people who were investing in mutual funds? It was just about 50 odd lakhs. Today it is 5 crore unique accounts. Right? So compounded growth or last 12 or 13 years, we have grown almost 20 times. And this growth will continue. So I was looking at some of the developed markets, maybe US or UK. 50% of the population is invested either through direct equities or mutual funds in those markets. If you look at that, compare that with India, it is just about 15%, 14 odd %. So the scope is humongous, 3 times bigger than where we are right now. If you look at equities, just last 5 years, if you look at data, year on year, every year you're adding about 2 crore people. Now, even with this, if you look at mutual fund growth, see the biggest growth now coming into the mutual fund space is not from the top 30 cities. It is coming from cities. And that is the place where NCDEX has big roots. So thanks to our agri-commodity background, we are present in more places than the existing players. So definitely the population in rural areas which has not derived benefit of the growth in capital market, possibly we will give them the opportunity. Look at it from this perspective. I get a woman who is investing about 250 rupees in SIP every month, who is a customer of ours. We have about 12 lakh customers, farmers associated with us. Just 250 rupees a month if they start investing in SIP. My mutual fund portfolio will just fly from day one, right? So we will be looking at new markets, newer channels. Definitely there is space for 2 or 3 exchanges more in a country like India. Because if you look at a country like US, there are some 12 or 13 exchanges. China has 3 or 4 major exchanges. India has just 2. So there is enough space for more exchanges to come in. I don't see the big players will be affected by our entry because our target group is different and the pie is growing. Pie is growing exponentially. So there is space for everybody. We'll find our niche.
Oh, yes. Apart from BSE and NSE, now NCDEX as well coming in with equity and derivatives foray. And of course, the mutual fund platform could start in much, much earlier.
Okay. All right, Manisha. Thanks very much for taking us through that conversation. We need to take a short break. But up next, stay tuned for the conversation that we have lined up. SMS Pharma, that stock was up around 15% in yesterday's trading session. We'll be talking to the management on the other side. Stay tuned.